builders out there that are listening to it, or any contractor that listens to this, or the clients that listen to this too, find a builder like Matt, just that is going to do the right thing and come back around and take care of a problem that's happening, or go back every single week and do some touch-up painting, on your house too.
Yeah, it's tough pill to swallow sometimes, but it is what it is. I mean, you just do. Hey, I mean, my whole mentality is if I don't do it, then the whole thing's going to crumble. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what I think. Like, if I don't always do every little thing I can to make these people happy, I'm going to fail. This business is going to fail, and I'm going to it's going to take one guy that I told, hey, you know what, your house is out of warranty, sorry, which I know you have to do, but minor little things are not that big of an inconvenience for me. And if I blow a guy off and say, that's not under warranty anymore, sorry, you're going to have to call somebody else to come fix it. And then he makes some shitty post on the internet, and that spreads, and I'm so fearful of that I just feel like I always have to, and I'm sure people are going to take advantage of it, and it is what it is. But if I can live with it and I can sleep at night, then it's all good. It's not inconveniencing anybody but me.
Do you see that as a gift or a curse? Do you
Probably
see that?
Both. Both. I mean, it is a curse, I think, that I'm so nice, I guess you would say, but it's never backfired on me. I've never done extra stuff for people and then I don't know, it's just I don't see the downside of it, I guess. I find some financial burden, but not much,
Yeah,
but it costs a little bit.
In the scheme of things too, what you're saying, because I'm the same exact way, and that's where the gift part of it comes, right? So it's like you give a little to get a little, right?
We've done things on jobs where we broke even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like we did what the customer wanted to the point where it was just like we finally were just like, okay, we're just going to finish the job and we're just going to not make any money on it. But the customer left happy, and sometimes, so I always look at it too, like maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I wasn't thorough enough in our pre-construction meetings, and maybe I didn't really get this homeowner's vision as much as I should have, and you know what I mean? So I try to kind of put the blame back on myself, like, okay, I'm going to learn from this, and next time I'm going to do this step, this different and that different, and sometimes you're not going to make money, and sometimes you're going to lose a little bit, but it is what it is, so, but you just always hope that it's not 3 or 4 big jobs that you lose money on in a row.
Yeah. Welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder. And today I got a great guest on for the first time. And this has been a long time coming since the original show started and we took a little break. But now we're back and I finally get to have this man on. I'm excited about it. A fellow man in construction, a fellow home builder. We're going to get into that a little bit too today. But co-owner of Keeneye Construction in Utah. He's also a member of the Arte Syndicate. That's where him and I met. He's a big-time family man. I see it all over his social media as well. But Mat Earl, it's great to have you on today. I'm looking forward to this, man. How you doing?
Hey, good to see you, Bill. Yeah, no, I'm excited. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, like I said, and I'm glad we finally linked up on this too, and looking forward to kind of talking shop with you, talking construction, and talking about what you do. But before we get started, let's talk about you a little bit. So who is Mat Earl?
So I'm a 52-year-old, workaholic contractor. It's like the rest of everybody else in the construction world, but got kind of thrown into construction when I was 19. My parents moved away. I live in Utah. My parents moved to Montana as soon as I graduated high school, and was trying to go to school, but it wasn't working out, making ends meet. So I got into construction, and so that's, like I said, that's 33 years ago, and started in the siding business and did that for a long time. And then after 2008, and the economy kind of took a slip there. The company I was working for, I was managing their masonry division, and they started kind of slipping, and so I took a step out and started my own construction company at that point, and been doing it ever since. So,
Go,
but
go,
family man, dad, 3 kids, wife, 25 years of marriage. It's all good.
go a little deeper into kind of the construction journey a little bit and why construction. I always like hearing this, like
So,
why hop into it.
what's funny is growing up, you never really know your parents' economic situation growing up, and my dad was like one of those guys that he just fixed everything himself. He would fix the cars, he would fix everything around the house. He built our house when I was growing up, and to me, I always looked at my friends' dads when we were hanging out at their house, and the plumber would show up to fix the toilet, and I was like, dude, what's wrong with your dad? Like, how come your dad can't fix his own I didn't realize that we were poor, you know what I mean? I didn't realize that my dad did all these things out of necessity, but I just thought he was dope. I thought he was a cool
Mhm.
guy that could just do everything. And I think that's kind of why I always like working with my hands. I actually have an art background, and I always wanted to be an art school teacher actually, but that didn't work out. But I always liked painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff, and working with my hands. And I mean, I would build beds in high school and things like that. But my dad had all the tools. He had everything around the house, and so I think it's just one of those things that I was just born to do it. I think I don't know how I could do anything else. Honestly, I'd love it.
I love that, man. Growing up, I saw my dad do all the same thing. He never hired anybody for anything. It was always him doing it. Like, I'll fix that or I'll get to it. Some of the stuff he didn't get to because I was actually saying this the other day to somebody. I feel like we manage everybody else's houses and ours get put on the back burner, right? So, you
Oh, my
know,
wife doesn't allow that. Trust me. My
yeah,
house is a
I'm
clean.
same way, same way. My wife's very OCD, and it just makes, so the weekends are dedicated to me, doing these side product projects and stuff like that. But it's, there's a lot of guys out there that, they don't do it. They don't do the, hands-on stuff too. And nothing against that, nothing against them, but I'm glad, and I'm sure yourself too, that to be able to have the ability to work on your house, fix something, know what's going on if there is a problem too. Like my wife said to me, she's like, I'm shocked. She goes, how do you even know that? How do you even know how to do that? I'm like, I learned it growing up. It's something I did when my dad
Yeah.
made me have to do it too. I always had to fix things myself.
Yeah, that was, we grew up in that era when your bike broke, you had to put a new chain on it, or you just did it yourself. You fixed the flat tires, you did all that stuff. We had a garage full of tools, and as kids, me and my friends, we built things and built jumps, and always worked with our hands. So it was just something, yeah, like I said, I love doing it. I still love painting and stuff like that, but I love to build things, and my wife loves that I love to do it because she's got endless list of things for me to do in our house. So,
What
but
about tie in? You talked about your art background a little bit, and I saw some stuff on your social media. Talk about, you know, go into that a little bit more, your art side of things, and then correlating that with construction and how that's, molded you into the owner of a business, Keeneye Construction. How was, talk about the art side a little bit.
so I think because I started in the exterior business, and I was hanging siding, and that's what I did full time when I was young. And then just homeowners were always confused about, oh, I don't know what goes with this or what should go with that. And the owner of the company I was really fortunate. He kind of was allowed me to really get involved with things, and I was always open to meeting with homeowners and helping them pick out colors for their houses. And and then when computers kind of, I mean, I was always kind of anti-computer forever. And then when computers, I just didn't have a choice. I had to start getting involved with computers, and then starting learning computer programs on how to actually create people's homes and color them for them and see them, show them what it was going to look like. And people get really excited about that, like, oh wow, like this is a service this company provides that nobody else offers. I would hand draw, and I still do actually hand draw a lot of people's houses and show different finishes on them and stuff like that to show them different options for their houses. Sometimes I'll do it on the computer, but sometimes it's faster for me just to redraw it by hand real quick and sketch it out. But yeah, the art thing has helped me tremendously. I mean, I started designing homes. I think I was 26 or 27 when I built my first home. My wife and I designed it ourselves. You
Mm.
know, just it. Yeah, I mean, the art thing has helped me a bunch. So, and people always say, oh, you're so naturally gifted, but I've taken a lot of art classes, so it's not a. I mean, there's a little bit of natural talent, but I've taken a lot of classes in this, so it's yeah, but it's helped me a bunch.
It's definitely got to tie in together. Obviously, having the creative side of things and being able to create plans, like you just said, draw out the plans and then add your creativity to it. And, I relaying to me, myself, like I remember as a kid growing up, like I used to love to build things. I used to, have an imagination to bring things to life too. And it's helped me with planning. I could see things differently than a lot of people too, that your clients don't see, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Product transitions on the exterior of homes. Where
Mhm.
you're gonna transition rock and brick, or stucco to siding, and all these different heights and levels, and people just have no clue a lot of the times. How to make those work and how to make it look good and what's in style and what's coming down the pipe, what's going to look good 5 years from now as opposed to 1 year from now. So, but yeah, I've been doing it so long with the exterior part, it just kind of comes natural to me, that part. The home building part, I've I'm fairly not new to it. Like I said, I built my first house a long time ago, but we built several homes. But I'm learning something new all the time with building homes. It's never ending with that.
Yeah, I've talked about that actually too. It's a never-ending learning process. You're always learning something. You're always running into something new. It's always some kind of new adventure that within the home building space. It never ends, and then you're building a
Well,
different
just
style home, right?
this Pinterest and all these,
Yeah,
these.
that too.
I get a list of things that homeowners want, 900 pages long, and trying to keep track of all that and find out what it costs to build those things. And again, I end up on the job sites building stuff myself because I can't find anybody who can do it. So I'm like, well, I think I can figure it out, so I'll build it. But it's the Pinterest stuff it drives you crazy sometimes how many things you see on there, and some of it's unrealistic. I think it's digitally created. I'm like, I can't build that. Water doesn't run uphill. I can't build that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
yeah, yeah. No, we get it all the time. I mean, that's the client's best friend, and they're like, "Can you make this happen?" And thank God we got a really good trim carpenter that can make a lot of it happen.
yeah.
Because it's a lot of unique designs, man. And that was interesting what you said there, though, that you hands-on do a lot of the stuff that you're doing, which is very impressive too. That's probably really impressive to your clients, and that
Oh
probably
yeah,
creates a
I'm always
referral.
hands on. Yeah, in fact, a home we just finished building in a little town called Eden here. That homeowner, she was like, "Why is it that you can do everything, but the guys who actually are supposed to do it, you do it better?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, these guys. I think people don't understand piece rate sometimes, and guys are trying to make a living, and maybe they'll miss a detail, and instead of calling them back, I don't want to be that builder that's calling guys back for one little touch up or one little thing here, or one little thing there. And I'm like, I can fix that stuff myself. So I don't need and I think it creates a better relationship with our subcontractors, knowing
Mm.
that I'm more than willing to help out and jump in and help guys and carry countertops in when they need an extra hand and things like that. I'm not afraid to do all that kind of stuff. But I don't know how the with the exterior side, where I did that, and we still run exterior crews. So our business is made up of three different divisions. We have the home building side, then we still run exterior crews, and then we have a remodel crew that just does all nothing but remodels. But so I'm still really hands on the exterior stuff. I mean, just trying to these new products are coming out all the time that are exterior products, and I like to actually, when somebody wants something on the house we've never installed before because it's brand new, then I'll usually go out with our crew and work with them, on that particular home, and because I want to know how to do it, so I can be educated on the product, and
Hmm.
we'll usually go to the installation classes that they offer. But it really, to do the first home with me on site, hands on, all belt up, and help the guys, and so everybody knows what we're doing. And I think the homeowners are like, why is this guy, this guy, I don't know if it's good or bad sometimes. Sometimes I think, is this guy really a builder because he's out here with his tool belt on, or, because sometimes they expect you to pull up in a fancy truck and don't even own a tool belt, and you know what I mean? But I'm more of a hands-on guy. So,
Yeah, it's old school building, man. It's hands on. You learned in the trenches. It's not you weren't school taught. You were actually taught yourself by
oh,
actually
100%. Yeah.
swinging a hammer. You know what I mean? It's like I wrote, down about it's impressive to me how you do it because that's how I was taught and we were and growing up like my dad was the same way when he taught my brother and I like we have to learn how to do everything. It's not just you're not just going to go there and bark orders. You're going to know how it's done and so
Hmm.
that you can show them how it's done too. And that's what I took from you is by you getting into the trenches and actually doing the work. A lot of builders won't do that, but you're showing them how you want it done too, so that they can do it better. You can have a superior product because they know what you want, plain and
Yeah,
simple.
100%. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's the art part of me too. Is I try to make things look, a certain way, and I really observe little fine details and stuff like that. And I see the homes you build and the little details and stuff that you guys have to get right. And yeah, if you're not on site, and there's so many guys that'll screw it up, and you don't want to micromanage everybody, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you've got to make sure it's right. It's got to be right. So.
It's always a perfecting thing, man. It's always like trying to figure out your system to make sure that it is always right, because there's always going to be mess ups, there's going to be screw ups and stuff that's missed too. And you try and do your best to make sure that it's not missed. And I have a pool deck right now that I got to tear up because we don't use a subcontractor anymore for this specific reason. But the it's getting water underneath the deck and it's actually
Mhm.
so they probably didn't waterproof correctly or uh the mud or the inset they used wasn't correct either for outdoors. So, out of our just doing the right thing, us doing the right thing, it's 3 years later and I'm gonna rip the deck up and it's gonna cost us money obviously too.
Yeah. Yeah, we
But
do
it
the same thing. We always tell homeowners, they're always concerned about warranty. And I'm like, well, you have your warranty, but I'll give them a list of ten people referrals saying, hey, look, call these people. Anytime
yeah,
they call me, A, I answer my phone, which is a
which
big
is
thing with
rare.
us is, yeah, I answer my phone. People call me. Last night I got a call. It was 9:30, and the homeowner was up at a lake or something like that. And she's like, hey, the nanny called and there's a weird smell in the house. So I called another guy to go there and look at their house at 9:30 at night because I'm just like,
Well,
I always answer my phone. And my wife, she's used to it now, but I think for a while there, she was like, you ever turn that, you ever turn that thing off? I'm like, no, I don't. I just don't. I'll stress out more about missing a call and getting a message than I will just taking the call. And so I always answer my phone. But anyway, yeah, it's the detail stuff. The house that we just finished building in Eden is, she was a very hands-on, detail-oriented person, and I would do paint touch-ups I had the painters come in and do touch-ups twice. Then I went in and did touch-ups a couple times, little things, and she'll call me probably once a week for the next 6 months. Anytime she sees something, she'll just call me. But
yeah.
I'll always go back and fix it because I've already got two home builds because of her, because of people she knows and people and they know. And that's the thing is that people, they know how particular she is, and so I think they think if she's happy with him, then he must do a good job. He must be a great builder because where a lot of people would just get fed up with it, be like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm not doing touch ups anymore. You get one shot at it, and that's all I'm doing. But people that know her know how particular she is, and I think because of that, that's why we've got two other home builds out of it. And so I'm willing to deal with that. That's fine with me. I'm kind of the same way. I would just do it myself, but if I couldn't do it, I'd want it fixed by somebody. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Every time I walk by it, I would look at it. It would drive me crazy. You know what I mean? That's how she is. It just eats at her when she sees little things in the house. And so I just once a week I plan on making a trip up to her house and doing whatever she wants me to do. And I'll do that probably for the next, like I said, 6 months. She'll be having me fix stuff, but that's fine. So
It'll be longer than 6 months, probably.
Hopefully not. Hopefully, I teach her husband how to do some of these things. He's a financial
Yeah.
guy, so teach him
Yeah.
how to do some paint touch-ups. But
Yeah, we have clients like that too, and it can get a little excessive sometimes with certain things, and it's all about the communication end of it too. Is I think a lot of builders do struggle with what you just said, where they don't, want to keep going back because they're like, how many times am I going to do this? This lady's crazy, this is just
yep,
out of control. But you just said you got two jobs out of it too, and
I mean two big jobs. Yeah, two
and
big
that's the
ones.
difference in your mentality right there. That's like, not a lot of builders would think the way you think, to where it's like this can lead. It's no different than what I just talked about with the they're out she's out of warranty, this customer's out of warranty, but because I walked around back of the house and I saw some cracking along the pool deck, it's because all the denset was pushing out. I'm like,
Hmm.
this isn't right. And so then I called her and she was shocked when I called her and said, "Hey, we're gonna fix everything and replace it." She was shocked. She's
Yeah,
like, "Wow, thank you. Thank you so much."
yeah.
So
And then if anybody in conversation ever says, "Man, I need to build a house," she's going to be all over referring you guys. So I mean, it makes
yeah,
total sense to me. It makes perfect sense. There's so many people that just don't get that, but it makes perfect sense to me.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, and with my two sons and their business, they're always asking me questions about customers and stuff like that. And I try to keep pounding that type of mentality into their heads, and they get it, but it's still frustrating to them because their customers are kind of a different situation. But
What business is it?
so they have a lacrosse clothing company.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So they started when they were 15 and 17, they started this company, and they've been doing, now they're 22 and 20, and it's they're having growing pains for sure because they grow so fast. They haven't paid themselves yet. It's funny because it's the whole Andy Frisella model
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
didn't pay himself for 3 years. They're 5 years in now and they haven't paid themselves anything. So
Wow.
they're still just every time they have money, they're growing, and so they just dump it all back in, and it is what it is. So they have to come help dad with construction stuff. I'm spending money still.
Hey,
They
hey,
work hard.
it works out, but it's like things are caught, not taught. So obviously, learning from you and growing up and seeing their dad work and work with your hands too. That's what made them who they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're not afraid to get their hands dirty. They'll work long hours. They work long hours, and they don't care. And they have employees who quit because they're like, "You guys work too much," And then they're like, "It's the only way it's going to work."
See, there's hope for the youth, man. That's the thing. There's a lot of negative talk about the youth, but there's a lot of good kids out there. I got a kid right now. That's our laborer. He's 19 years old, and he's a hard worker. And he was actually about to leave. He called me, or he wrote me a text, because that's what they like to do.
Yeah.
And then he sent me a formal email, and that he was leaving, and I was like, "Hey, his name's Chase." I was like, "Chase, this would be a better discussion in person. Let's talk in person." He goes, "Absolutely." So anyway, I started talking to him. It's about a girl, and
Hmm.
the girl wanted him to move down to where she is, and giving him the guilt trip, and they're in love, and you know how it goes
Yep.
at
Oh
19
yeah.
years
Oh
old.
yeah.
And long story short, I ended up having that conversation with him, and I said, "Listen, you're a hard worker. You got a really good head on your shoulders. Obviously, you come from great parents. I can tell just because you want to work, and think about what you're about to do. You're going to go down to the Keys, sleep on a couch somewhere, probably get a bar backing job, or a job on a charter fishing boat, or work for another
Yep.
contractor somewhere that's probably not going to pay you as much as us. And you're going to basically just live that life and party." And he's like, "I know my girlfriend and friends tell me I need to have fun, this and that." I go, "You can still have fun, but you can still work,
Yeah.
and I told him, I was like, "At your age, I wish I would have worked a lot harder and been more consecutive with it, because I told him I'd be driving a Lamborghini right now, so I'd be a
Yep.
lot farther than I am. But you need to think about, when you're going to be in your 20s, you're going to have the nice truck, the house, all those different things if you put in the work now." So that conversation, long story short, again, made him think, and he went back to his parents. His parents told him the same thing, and he ended up telling his girlfriend he's going to stay with us and he wants to grow with the company. So it's like going back to your sons, there's good kids out there because I know there's a lot of negative talk about the youth out there, and there's a lot of good kids out there, man.
Oh, there are, and they're learning that through the hiring process because they have employees all over the United States now that
Oh,
work
really?
for them.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's all my son's always like, man, this kid's doing this and this kid's doing that. And I'm like, dude, that's the majority. Now you got to find good help is hard to find, and you need
Yeah.
to find the good ones. And now they're like, now when they do find a good one, it's like the diamond in the rough. They're like, oh my gosh, we found this guy, he's awesome. And I'm like, I guess it's hard. They're harder to find, but they're out there.
Yeah, and that's in every generation, that's
Yeah.
in
Oh, for
every
sure. Yeah.
it's in every generation, older guys, younger guys, whatever it is. I mean, there's good ones, bad ones in every single generation. You just got to
Yeah,
find the
I
good
have
ones
friends
and
from high school that are still living in high school, so
yeah. Yeah.
they've never changed. I don't talk to them anymore, but I see them. I see them at reunions and whatnot, but they haven't changed much. So
Living in the past, talking about the football days.
exactly,
It's,
exactly.
they even caught that one touchdown, so
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the Kenai now a little bit and how that all started, your business. Where'd that come from? Get into that a little bit.
So, like I said, was before in '08 when the company I was working for, I'd been there for 25 years, working for that company, and worked my way up, you know, through the company, and was running their masonry division. And they were huge. They were a huge company, a really, really big. They were probably one of the biggest exterior companies in Utah for a long time, and just it was a big shift from in Utah. They have vinyl siding was kind of the superior product, and then or it was aluminum siding and vinyl siding. Then it went to a stucco, and then when the hardboard siding started to come out, I didn't really get into the details of the business. I was just running the masonry side. We do full exteriors, but um, just mismanagement of the company, and things started the wheels started coming off. I think they lost a lot of money in '08, like I was saying, and I could just kind of see the writing on the wall. And the guy that was there working with me, he'd worked there for the same amount of time I had. Um, we just had a conversation, and it was like, hey, if this, we both had already had our contractors licenses. We kind of build homes on the side. We would build, the owner of the company was good with us building because we would give him the exterior work, and we would just manage them at night, and just smaller homes from friends and family and stuff like that. So we both had our contractor's license, and we just said, hey, if this starts getting worse here, and we can kind of see this is not going to work out, let's just make a decision now. So we kind of set up an LLC and just kind of left it there for about a year and didn't do anything with it. And then the owner of the company called us in, and just the higher management people, and just said, hey, it doesn't look like we're going to make it. You guys need to do something else. So
Mhm.
at that point, we both left, and we already had this business set up. We had never touched it, and we jumped in and started pounding the phones and calling, because he was saying that they were going to fold. And so we started calling some of the contracts that he had, and just said, hey, just so you know, we're going on our own, but
For you
this
guys.
other company's still in business. They're great people. If there's a time that they can't take care of you, give us a call. That's kind of how we approached it. We didn't want to poach any work from him or anything like that, but he had verbally told us that the company was going to fold. And it took about, we were taking any work we could get. We were doing remodels and anything we could do. And it was about 3 to 6 months. The phone started ringing, and all the people that he used to do work for, he wasn't returning phone calls to anymore. Jobs half finished, they needed to be done. So we just kind of took over a bunch of their business, and that's how we got started. And um, I look back now, I was coaching ice hockey at the time. Um, and my kids both played travel ice hockey, and I was coaching teams and trying to start this new business, but I didn't want it to affect my family, so I was still on the road. I'd be in the hotel rooms at hockey tournaments bidding plans, and working crazy hours, but my kids never saw a change in our lifestyle. We just I just made sure that their lives were stable and everything was normal for them. Uh, my daughter's soccer and everything. But yeah, I coached ice hockey for 13 years,
Wow.
and just starting this business didn't affect it. I just kept doing it until I was unable to help anymore, and my kids moved on from that. So, but anyway, that's how we got started, and it's we've been a lot of the employees that were at the other company ended up calling us and wanting to come work for us. And so once they finally folded, we'd hired a bunch of guys that we liked from the other company. So we really inherited some great employees. Um, 3 or 4 of them that are still with us now that have been since day one. And it's been a great thing for me. I like the way it worked out. I'm not one of these guys that's not employable. I'm very, I was fine working for this other company. I was very happy working for them. I was a good employee, and I was making good money and everything. But when I was kind of forced into just doing something different, and when I did, I just jumped in, and it's been great this way too. I'm super happy. It's a lot more stressful, obviously, owning a business, but the work is the work, and I still get to do what I love to do, and it's all good. So that's how it got started, and and we're busier than ever right now. So
That's awesome, man. Entrepreneur's journey, and right there for sure. That story too. I want to touch on too what you said, like you were going to hotel rooms coaching hockey, and never you never let your kids see a change. You never, and I think a lot of contractors struggle with that, is being present in their kids' lives, being present in their families' lives, because this business is easy to be absorbed by.
oh
It's
yeah,
easy. And like you talking about answering your phone, but you're still present with your family, even though you got the phone calls coming in and all these different things, and you're running 3 different divisions of your company as well. And you still were there as a dad too, and that's like the most important thing you can possibly be. I'm a new dad, and
oh yeah. Congratulations, by the way. I've been
yeah.
following that.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you,
awesome.
man. Thank you. And it's awesome. It really is. And like, and I look up to people like yourself. Like, I look at that. Like my dad was always one that he was like, I gotta work. You
Hmm.
guys were, I would get home, you're in bed, I just had to work. And that was that old school mentality too. Like, I want to come home and at least see my kid for, an hour or two before he goes to bed. He goes to bed early, but, obviously, he's a baby. So, but I still I want to spend time with him and be present, throughout his life as he gets older, like yourself, no matter what. And if I got to work on the road or work as I build this thing too, yeah, I'll be tired, but it's the right way to do it. So I commend you on that, man.
Yeah, as far as family goes, I was more like you. I didn't have. My parents were fine. I just didn't have much of a relationship with them. They both worked. They were gone all the
Hmm.
time. I'm one of 3 brothers. I'm the youngest. I'm sorry, I have 3 older brothers. I'm one of 4 boys, and I was kind of left to fend for myself. I was the
Same.
youngest, and parents all worked. I mean, all the time, and I just always wanted my kids to have just 100% the opposite experience that I did. My parents never signed me up for sports, never anything, it was just, I was just kind of there existing as a little boy. And so when my kids, I've always been a big hockey fan. So when my kids were old enough to walk, I started them playing hockey, and they needed help with coaches. So I went and helped coach. I understood the game, and ended up doing that for 13 years. I coached lacrosse all the way through high school. For 7 years, I coached lacrosse, coached my daughter's soccer team, her t-ball team. I mean, I was very involved with all my kids and all their sporting stuff. So uh, I was just figured out a way to make it work. Like I
Mhm.
said, if I had to take an hour or two break to coach and be with them to do that, that was fine. And we were done having dinner at the end of the night or whatever, and the kids went to bed. I went back to work, and I was working on plans and working on designs and bids and whatever. But and I work into the night, 1 or 2 in the morning, and just the way it always was for years and years and years. And but it all worked out. My kids are great, and a lot of people don't have good relationships with their kids through the teenage years. Mine was the best. My kids are great. We've always had a good relationship, and They seem to be super hard workers, and my daughter's going off to college next month up in Montana, and
Awesome.
she's super excited, and I'm super sad, but it'll be good for her. She'll have fun. So,
It's great to hear though, and I think you have those relationships with your kids because you were present though,
oh
and
yeah, for sure.
there's a lot of parents out there that just aren't present, and then they wonder why their teenagers yell at them and don't want them around or don't want anything to do with them. It's like it's not that you're saying that you're like you were always like, hey, let's hang out, stuff like that. But you were a dad,
No,
you were a
yeah.
dad, and that's why I keep saying I look up to dads like you, and it's nice to like know people like yourself and through Arte and stuff like that, just because I can see how you've done something and I can live it myself, because I'm a new dad. Like listening to you, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be doing the same exact thing too, because I want to grow our business. I have big visions for the company and everything like that, but I know it's possible to grow a business and still be present. And you're
Oh,
a prime
100%.
example of that.
It's absolutely possible. Yeah. And a lot of people, I hear a lot of stuff online these days bashing on kids' travel sports and how it's killing families and all this stuff. And I'm sure there's probably those situations that happen, but we always figured out a way to make it work. And people don't realize in travel sports with your kids, like you're in the car, maybe you like, so we live an hour away from Salt Lake City, and my kids' hockey practice is in Salt Lake City, and we would go 4 nights a week, to hockey practice, an hour each way. But that was an hour drive each way that I was in the
Mm.
car alone with my son. And we would sit and talk about girls and talk about life and talk about school and talk about what they want to do. And it was every single day, or whatever, 4 days a week, 2 hours 4 days a week of one-on-one time with my kids. Most people don't get 2 hours a
Mhm.
month one-on-one time with their kids. And it was week after week after week. And my daughter's, it was the same way with my wife. She would usually take her to soccer practice, and it was far away. And I don't know. It was never a negative experience for us. It was always good. They learned a lot of lessons from sports, and we got to spend a lot of free time with them, and quality time, I guess, is the main thing. But yeah, it's awesome. So I highly recommend that for people that can make it work. If it's not financially possible, I get it. But if you can make it work, you'll never regret it.
Yeah,
So
100%, man. No, like I said, I commend you on that. Look up to you on that because that's exactly how I want to be with my son. So it's awesome to hear that too. Another thing you said too is how you talked about how you inherited a lot of employees. You still have, four employees since day one. And what I got out of that too is obviously you've kept a great culture because be in business as long as you have and still have the same employees being a part of it. That's culture. That's creating an atmosphere that people want to be around. They see your vision. It's selling them the vision. So talk about that a little bit too.
I have to admit, 100% honesty. I think that's the place I could improve the most is with
Hmm.
culture. I get wrapped up in the business side so much that I start losing sight of simple things like even just showing up at job sites with a cooler full of drinks and buying them lunch
Yeah.
and things like that. I get so many things going on, and then I forget, and I got to sit back and be like, okay, I got to figure out a way to connect with these guys again, because it's been 2 or 3 weeks. I haven't done anything for them. I haven't, because when we were first started, we were super big into, and, we would buy their wine. That was another thing we actually did that was great was, it's a good tip for people is when you have employees, sometimes sometimes their wives don't really appreciate the company they work for that much. Like they think it's just a job, like the husband goes to this job or whatever. So we would buy our employees' wives like massages and stuff like that. Like
Good
it's
idea.
just, you know what I mean? And then they'd be like, wow, like this company doesn't only they appreciate my husband, but they recognize me as their, we would write them cards saying, or like for Mother's Day, we would give the employees' wives flowers and like a massage or something like that. And it was like, so it was a way for them to be like, the company appreciates my husband, they also recognize that they have a family, and
Mm.
you know what I mean, and things like that. So we would try to do things like that. And the further you get into working with people and the longer you work with them, the more you kind of slack off on that. And I remind myself, okay, I got to do better, but it's a constant reminder. Like it's not a natural thing for me, and it should be, but it's not. I'm always having to remind myself, okay, you got to do this and you got to do that. Where you'd think it would be automatic after this many years, but it's just not. It's like it's I gotta constantly think of it, you know. But and then you got employees that you get frustrated with, but you still got to maintain that relationship because they're very valuable to you, even though you're frustrated with them, you know. And you just got to get over it. And I'm a pretty hard guy to get pissed off. I don't get mad very often, but and so they know when I'm mad, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But so maybe that's part of my problems. I'm just not high strung enough when it comes to being. Yeah, I'm just the nice guy. My business partner, not so much. He gets pretty irritated, but I'm always trying to solve the problems, you know, instead of creating more problems by getting angry. But yeah, the culture thing is though, like we do try to come up with creative ways, and that's the thing about Arte that's been helpful is talking to other guys in Arte that and what they do with their employees and how they get creative, and it's helped me a lot learn different things you can do to help keep your employees happy and like I said, with their families, you know, just memorizing their kids' names, asking about their kids, asking how their kids are doing, knowing what sports their kids play, even
Mhm.
going to some of their games occasionally, you know, watch their kids play sports. That means a lot to your employees. You show up to one of their games, you know.
Oh yeah.
So there's little things that way that and I don't do it just because I mean I enjoy it thoroughly. My kids don't play sports anymore. They've outgrown it and I mean they play, but like beer league hockey and stuff like that. You know, it's not the same. So, but so I actually thoroughly enjoy going to the games and stuff like that. But yeah, I think if you have the opportunities to support your employees' kids in any way, not just sponsoring, you know, maybe their soccer team or something like that, giving them some money, but actually showing up to a game or two, that's a big deal. So,
Yeah, I like what you said is, you know, as far as the support for, you know, their kids and stuff like that too. And it's difficult. I run into the same thing you do. We get busy, you know, we're busy amongst our day and we forget sometimes you just gotta touch base with them, you know, say, "Hey,
mm-hmm.
how you doing? How's your family doing?" You know, talk to them like a normal person and not just like an employee. And you know we have our hard days where we're, you know, not in the best mood and light mood, but as a leader in a leadership role, you know, you got to just kind of suck it up and be like, hey, how can I help you today? What do you need help with? You know, be that leader too. And I think they get a lot of that from you too, just listening to you on, you know, how you're out in the field, how you're doing the work, how you're actually, you know, swinging the hammer too, because like I said, there's contractors out there that don't do that kind of stuff, and they just kind of,
Oh yeah.
you know, bark the orders, right?
Well, they don't even bother getting out of their trucks. They pull up to the
True,
job site and
true.
park orders from their window of their truck and they drive
Yeah,
away. You know, they
keep
don't want to
the
get out
AC
of the air.
flowing.
It's 100 degrees outside and they don't want to get out of their warm truck. And yeah, it drives me crazy. Another thing we do too, that I do it more. My business partner is a little older than me, so he's more focused on retirement these days. But you know, even our guys are all on piece rate, most of them anyway. We have some laborers and stuff that are hourly, but the piece rate guys, even just to go volunteer my day's labor for them. So I'll go hang siding with a guy one day and just pay them for what I did, you know, so they get paid for that piece rate. And some guys, honestly, some guys I don't think even notice it. Like they don't they don't pay attention to that. They don't notice that they they got paid for the entire exterior of the home when I spent a full day helping them. Like, and maybe I didn't do as, you know, I'm not as fast as I used to be for sure, but I help them make some money that day and talk with them a little bit, you know. And it's not often I get to do that, but if guys have time to do little things like that, I think for some employees they really recognize it, and that goes a long way. Some guys are just so they just don't pay attention to it. But I don't know if my employee that I worked for before would have done that, it would have meant a lot to me.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
But and he never did, but it would have meant a lot to me. But I
yeah,
would have been one of those guys that recognized it and thought it was cool, you know. But
yeah.
some guys just want you to hand them cash, you know.
Yeah, they'll probably. I mean, yeah, they just. But it's the thought. It's the like you know karma. It's the good
Yeah.
things that you're doing. It's the you know it's just such a good thing, and you being so hands on like I said is a huge difference maker within your company, And I know there's other people that take notice. It doesn't have to be that person that you're working with that takes notice. It's other people take notice of the things you're doing. And that's why you become successful too. That's why you are
Yeah,
a
and
leader.
that's a good point. That could be too. People that you don't ever somebody's always watching, I guess.
Always,
I
always,
got a fun.
always.
Speaking of that, a funny story. So there's a big home builder here in Utah, and we did all their exterior. Or we're doing their exterior work from the other company I used to work for. And then when we started our new company, they had kind of when that other company crumbled, they kind of were just getting bid out from everybody. They weren't necessarily going to jump right into our company and let us do their exteriors anymore. They kind of took that opportunity to start pricing things out. But I was coaching my daughter's t-ball team, and when you say take notice, my whole goal coaching her t-ball team was to get all the kids on the team to be able to hit the ball not off the tee, but like by me pitching it to them. That was my goal for the whole t-ball season. So I had my daughter hitting the ball before we started, so she could be so we'd get the other kids excited about it. And so through our little t-ball season, every kid the kids started hitting the ball. And there was one kid who just, man, the kid struggled. He was not a very athletic little dude, but a good kid, but just was struggling. And so he was the only kid that couldn't hit it off the tee, or couldn't hit it by me pitching it to him. And the very last game of the year, the other coach was just pissed because it was taking so long because I wasn't letting the kids hit off the tee because I would never let them hit off the tee. They had to get pitched to. And this kid finally hit the ball. You know what I mean? Like first time, he was so excited. His parents were so excited, and the game ended. And I heard this guy go, "Hey, Matt," he said my name, and I turned around. It was one of the main guys for that company, that 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 home building company. It was his
Wow.
grandson,
Wow.
and he's like, I heard about what you guys were doing. It was my friend was helping me coach. He's like, I heard about what you guys are doing with these kids and how you were trying to teach them something. And he goes, and my his son, his son was a dentist. He says, my son was like, I really hope my boy can hit the ball because all the other kids can do it. You know what I mean? But anyway, we got him to hit the ball at the end of the last game, and that ended up landing us that contract with that because of that one little deal. Because the guy's like, hey, I want you to know how much, I appreciate you putting in time with my grandson and everything. And then lo and behold, we started getting emails. Hey, you want to bid these plans? Do you want to bid these plans?
Wow.
And we ended up starting to do their work. So you just never know, you know what I mean? Like you said, karma, you know what I mean? You do the right thing and good things will come of it. But I had no idea it was his grandson. And I'd known the guy for years and years and years for the home building company he worked for, but I didn't know that I was coaching his grandson. But it is what it is. So it worked out great for everybody. So
That's awesome. You never know. You just never know, and it's the little things too. Like I started volunteering coaching high school football just to do it because I love football. I grew up playing it. I played in college too, and it's been a passion of mine my whole life. And you just never know. I mean, I don't do it for jobs. I don't do it. We even sponsored the team's workout, yeah,
yeah,
uniform stuff like that, and I don't care who's going to see that. Probably nobody because it goes under their pads, or they're in the gym sweating on it. Like, I just
yeah,
did it to give back as a company to them too, because that program was a big highlight of my life too. But it's those things that you do eventually, it all comes back around doing the right thing. And that goes into construction in general, just builders out there that are listening to it, or any contractor that listens to this, or the clients that listen to this too. Find a builder like Matt, just that is going to do the right thing and come back around and take care of a problem that's happening, or go back every single week and do some touch up painting, on your house too.
yeah.
And
It's tough pill to swallow sometimes, but it is what it is. I mean, you just do. Hey, I mean, I my whole mentality is if I don't do it, then the whole thing's going to crumble. You know what I mean? Like that's literally what I think. Like if I don't always do every little thing I can to make these people happy, I'm going to fail. This business is going to fail, and I'm going to I mean, it's going to take one guy that I told, hey, you know what, your house is out of warranty. Sorry, which I know you have to do, but minor little things are not that big of an inconvenience for me. And if I blow a guy off and say, that's not under warranty anymore. Sorry, you're going to have to call somebody else to come fix it. and then he makes some shitty post on the internet, and that spreads, and it just, I'm so fearful of that, that I just feel like I always have to, and I'm sure people are going to take advantage of it, and it is what it is. But if I can live with it and I can sleep at night, then it's all good, you know. It's not inconveniencing anybody but me. So
I was gonna ask you, do you see that as a gift or a curse? Do you see
probably
that?
both. Yeah, you know, both. I mean, we had a homeowner, and when you said crazy homeowners, you know, I, by far the most definition of a crazy homeowner, and it was just a remodel job, but like she bought a lot of stuff herself and wanted us to put it in, which I'm not a real big fan of. And she bought a 80-gallon tub when she has a 40-gallon water heater. You know what I mean? In her
Yeah.
house. And trying to explain to her that it's not going to fill the tub. You know what I mean? You can't have a 40-gallon water heater and have an 80-gallon tub, and it's just not going to work. And she was like very upset with us, you know what I mean? And I was like, so we ended up adding another water heater, because it was like, it's just easier than just
Yeah.
sitting there fighting about it. And I mean, most people would be like, that's insane. But for $1,000, you know what I mean? It was just I just didn't want to deal with it. And I was like, you know what? And I'm sure at some point she'll be talking to somebody, and they'll be like, oh, these guys, you know, they put this extra water heater in here for free. And the people, somebody will be like, are you serious? Like, why would somebody spend that extra money? I don't know. I just think at some point it'll come back in a positive way. But I mean, that was one of 1,000 things the lady, you know what I mean, she was off the chain, man. She was crazy, but it's okay. So, I mean, I just, every little thing you started the job, she would question everything you're doing. You know, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. I'm like, just let us do the job. Let's let us do the work. You know what I mean? We know what we're doing. But yeah, so it is a curse, I think, that I'm so nice, I guess you would say, but it's never backfired on me. I've never like done extra stuff for people, and then I don't know. It's just I don't see the downside of it. I guess I find some financial burden, but not much. You know,
Yeah.
it
But
costs a little bit.
in the scheme of things too, what you're saying, because I'm the same exact way, and that's where the gift part of it comes, right? So it's like you give a little to get a little, right? That's just
Yeah.
life. That's how life's circle happens. And it's like with you giving into that water heater, it's like you just said, you never know what's going to come out of it. It could be a referral. It
Yep.
could be something like that. And I do it quite a bit too with certain things where, once again, this pool deck, I keep bringing that up. That's going to probably cost us 10,000 plus dollars to repair that pool deck. But in the scheme of a house, and what that was a 4,500 square foot house. I don't, and stuff like that. It all just it works itself out. I have another job right now. We were in for permit on it. I was the one that referred the architect to them. They ended up not being happy with the architect when we were in for permit. He called me. My heart dropped when he called me and he said, "Hey, I want to have a meeting." And this was while we were already in for permit. I'm like, he's going to back out. Something happened. And long story short, he sat us down with his wife and he's just like, yeah, I'm not happy with the plans. I know we're in for permit, but we got to start over. So I did everything I could to find him the right architect, which we have, and a whole different house now. Beautiful house, but in my opinion, it's how God works because he placed me with this architect and it's going to be a showcase home, uh, big time showcase home. But now I'm thinking too, like, he had to spend money twice on the architect. How can I give back to him? That's how
Yeah.
I'm thinking. It's
Yeah.
like,
No, that's awesome.
and he wouldn't even ask for it either. He wouldn't be like,
Hmm.
hey, you should pay for those last sets of plans or anything like that. He's not that type of guy. But I was talking with my sister who does our financials, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to bring down their percentage, just a couple points of our profit. And that'll
Hmm.
easily probably pay for that architecture that he had too over time, and it'll just be a nice gesture to him as well. And my sister's like, "Really? You don't have to." I was like, "Yeah, but I have this feeling that it's the right thing to
The
do."
right thing to do. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. Yeah. I 100% get that. Like I said, there's never, I think, like I said, other than the financial burden part, you're never going to lose doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's always going to be the benefit to you. You don't know when, you don't know how, but You don't even worry about that. It's just I just did the right thing, and you move on. You
Well,
know.
you're still making money, like, you're still
Right.
making money, you're still gonna make profit. I mean, don't do it if you're gonna lose money, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes
But
you're
even
gonna lose money, but
yeah, I was gonna
it's the
say sometimes
situation.
you we've done things on jobs where we broke even. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where it's like we did what the customer wanted to the point where it was just like we finally were just like, okay, we're just going to finish the job and we're just going to not make any money on it. But the customer left happy. And sometimes, so I always look at it too, like maybe I made a mistake, maybe I wasn't thorough enough in our pre-construction meetings, and maybe I didn't really get this homeowner's vision as much as I should have, and you know what I mean. So I try to kind of put the blame back on myself, like, okay, I'm going to learn from this, and next time I'm going to do this stuff, this different and that different, and and sometimes you're not going to make money, and sometimes you're going to lose a little bit of money,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. So, but you just always hope that it's not three or four big jobs that you lose money on in a row.
Yeah, yeah. But it comes down, like we just said, it comes down to doing the right thing and, listening to your gut. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't. They're profit-driven companies, and usually, to be honest, those companies don't last when it's all about the money and it's
Yeah.
not about the client.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's the thing about Utah is tough building homes, is because there's like a handful of really big builders here, a couple of nationwide builders, and then some local families that own the majority of the buildable land in this valley, from the Salt Lake Valley. And it's tough for us custom home builders. That's why all of the home builders, usually the custom home builders, we all specialize in something.
Mhm.
So our company specializes in exteriors. The guy that does my foundations, he's a home builder, but he specializes in foundations. So we all kind of have a specialty niche, you know what I mean, that we all do other than just build custom homes. So you kind of have your custom home building, and then you have this thing that just keeps money coming in all the time, you know what I mean? But we all work together. So I do the exteriors for most of the custom home builders, you know what I mean? And I use whatever their specialty is. I have them do that in our homes,
Wow.
So we kind of all kind of work together that way, because we wouldn't survive if we didn't, because these other big building companies and they're mostly track homes.
Yeah.
They just pump them out. But everybody bitches about whoever buys their homes. They just bitch about them, like this is the worst home ever, but I'm going to buy another one because it's affordable, But I'm like, it's the cheapest garbage you can put into a house, and
Mhm.
you know what I mean. But I don't know. It's a weird dynamic here in Utah for sure. It's different, and then dealing with the winter here is a little trickier. But I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you talked about the weather there will shut you down for a month, and the weather here will shut you down for 3 months.
If we get a hurricane, yeah,
Yeah.
it'll hurt you. Yeah, but we usually, I mean, we're year round. We're year round. If there's a hurricane, that's what really gets us because communication is a big issue with that too. Obviously, cell
Yeah.
towers, stuff like that go down with major hurricanes. So, last hurricane we had, I was sitting in my brother's driveway because I couldn't get a hold of him. So it was like old school. Like I had to wait in his driveway for him to come home. He was out getting ice, I found out, because I
Yeah.
needed help closing a garage door that got stuck because of power issue. And he shows up. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I can't call you. I can't call you." He's like, "Yeah, the service is horrible on Marco." And I was like, "Yeah, so can you come help me?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah. Let me put the ice away that I got." So it's crazy when that happens, and hopefully, this year and next year and the year after and so on, we don't get one for a while because they're
Yeah.
never
We
fun.
we had 800 and some odd inches of snow here last year,
Oh
and
wow, yeah.
and we had just put a foundation in, and the snow came early, and it would snow 2 feet a night, and it was like
Jeez.
we
Yeah.
were shoveling snow for 3 months, just shoveling
Wow.
snow. And then we had big thermal heat machines that were heating the floors to keep the ground from heaving, the footings up. And oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. It was the hardest winter I've ever worked. It was terrible, but
Yeah,
we got through it.
every beautiful area has
Yeah,
its
just
issues.
yeah, this house had three ski resorts all within 15 minutes of it, all the way around it. And it was a great house, but oh my
Wow.
gosh, it was a terrible work environment for us. But
Wow, man.
oh well.
Yeah. Man, this has been awesome, man. Any final thing, anything on top of your head to wrap this up? And I appreciate you coming on, man.
No, I'm just excited you invited me on here. I really enjoy listening to the podcast and all the guys out there. There, I guess the big thing is with all the younger guys that are considering getting into construction. Things are definitely changing. It's harder and harder to find quality guys, guys that like they really are proud of their craft and take and you know what I mean. Those guys are hard to find. So if you're young and you're listening to this, or if you're listening to this and you have a young person that you talk to, there's a great opportunities I think right now for people who truly want to be good at their craft. I mean, like finish carpenters or even tile setters, guys
Mhm.
that can do really high quality work. Um, you'll never not have work. I try to tell these younger guys. I mean, my boys have no interest in construction. I think because I pushed them too much when they were young in high school. They were doing construction for me, but it wasn't their thing. But I get it. But if you like working with your hands and if you're young and you can do good work, I think there's just going to be more and more opportunities for these young guys to step into this and take it serious. There's always going to be these. I think the quick buck guys are just going to be more and
Yeah.
more and more, and finding high quality guys that just really are good at their craft are going to be super hard to find. So, and especially high end homes like you build, and trying to find really good quality guys is tough. I mean, for one good guy, there's 50 bad ones.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just tell anybody who has maybe a son or a daughter who's kind of confused about what they want to do in life, and they like working with their hands, try and show them this. It's I love it, man. I couldn't do anything else. I enjoy every step of it, even the bad stuff that keeps me awake at night. I learn something from it and I move forward, and it's just an awesome thing. So I think that's the only thing I would just end on is I just wish there was more people that were wanting to get into this business, because it's a great business.
That's a huge, huge thing that you said there too, though. There's so much opportunity in it for the younger generation, and so much like money to be made where they can start successful businesses as long as they do
Oh
what we're
yeah.
talking about too on this full episode. Like, this such great stuff that you said throughout this episode too that can help them create their own business. And you never know with your sons too. I didn't think I was going to be in construction. I was the same way, man. I was like, I did not think it was happening, and then yeah, I went right back to the business because I knew it. I grew up in it. I worked in it. I enjoyed um, the houses, watching them. I love creating these things, being a part of the architecture and bringing them to life. It's just such a great feeling. And but the younger generation, like you said, it's just like there's so much opportunity because a lot of these
Oh yeah.
tradesmen they're getting older. They don't want to be working with their hands. Their backs are hurting, whatever. And for plumbers and HVAC guys and all these different trim carpentry, like
Yeah.
it's never going to go away. I mean, I don't see a robot doing it anytime soon. Uh,
No.
to replace a guy that does trim carpentry with his hand and some of the stuff that can be built. Yeah, you can frame it, have cabinets that roll right in and put them in. But I mean, when it comes to ceiling details, stuff like that, and all these other extravagant things throughout a house or laying tile and so on, it's just it's an art. It's an art. It's a craft, and
100%. Yeah. And if you're good at it and you're good with your hands, you can make a lot of money and make it
hmm
and be able to do, like, I was able to go to all my kids' sporting events and coach all their teams and do all this awesome stuff. And I couldn't have done that at a 9 to 5, no, 9 to 5 job working in a cubicle somewhere.
no,
Just, you know what I mean? I coached all those people's kids.
yeah,
I was the guy who was there when their kids were on the ice or playing lacrosse and stuff. They were working and I was on the field. So the freedom that construction gives you too, I think, is awesome, because you can always go back to a job site in the evening and work if you need to take a few hours to go to your kids' play at school. That's what I did when I was a laborer too. I mean, I would take time to go to my kids' events, and then I would go work late at night. And so it's a I think it's an awesome business, but it's not for everybody for sure. It's physically demanding and mentally challenging, but I think it's awesome. So
Uh,
I encourage people to try it for sure.
I agree, man. I agree, 100%, 1,000%. I agree because it is a great thing, and it's not for everybody, but I think there will be an explosion at some point where there's people out there that are gonna realize that a desk job's not their thing too, and I think there's a lot of kids
Yeah,
like your own and my future son, he'll probably be involved in it too, I hope, and to carry on this business and so on. But no, man, this has been great. A lot of great info today. Obviously, like I tell all my great guests that I have on, I'm going to have you back on again too in the
yeah, I'd
future
love it,
here.
man. Well, hopefully I'll
So,
get to see you at an event coming up here pretty
yeah,
soon. I haven't been able to make it to quite a few of them. I think I saw you at the one with my two sons that last time in
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah, yeah. I'm
And
waiting for a big one, for them to host one of those big ones again. They haven't announced it yet, but no, we'll definitely see each other here in the near future for sure. And man, I appreciate this. It's a great episode and having you on again.
yeah,
I
keep in
look forward to
touch.
having you on.
I appreciate it, and good luck with your new family. And if you ever need anything, reach out to me. Let me know.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, for everybody that's listening, thank you all for listening. Like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. It goes a long way. 5-star reviews. You guys are doing a great job at that. 5-star reviews only, and I will see you guys on the next episode.